All right, Brylie, thank you for joining us. How are we doing tonight?
Yes, hello. I'm good. How are you?
We are blessed. We are back, with softball again. It's been a while since we had softball on the show, and what better way than to represent softball with a Mississippi State Bulldog? So, welcome. And before we get into this, it's kind of funny. Jim and I, we do a lot of research to prep for the show and get the questions and really like navigate how we're going to tell your story. But we start with a simple Google search. I don't know if you've ever Google searched your name. Most people probably have one time or another, but just so you know, when you Google search your name, it auto populates as boyfriend. I have no idea why. I'm not looking for a boyfriend, um, but that's what happens. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
You should check it out. It's quite interesting. It took me a while. Obviously, I got frustrated. I asked Jim. I was like, Jim, am I doing something wrong? He was like, just spell it the right way. And of course, eventually we got it. We found you. But the second thing I need to know, does your boyfriend know? I know he's an athlete in and of itself, but does he know that when he searches your name, boyfriend pops up?
No, I don't think so.
So, with him, we always give a shout out to significant others because Jim and I'll be the first to tell you our wives are what makes this world go round. So you want to give a shout out to the boyfriend while we got a second?
Yeah. Hey, Landon.
There he is, Landon. I heard a little bit about Landon. What's he do? He an
Um,
athlete?
yes, Landon actually he went to school here. He transferred to South Alabama to play baseball there. So he's there right now and they're in their season 2, so we're pretty busy.
Well, that's good. I'm sure, it's probably a story for a different day, but I'm sure the balance between your schedule and his gets kind of tricky, especially during the spring. But let's talk about you for a little bit. Let's go back, take me back, when little Briley was growing up. Where are you from and what was it like in the home life? You have brothers and sisters?
All right. Well, I'm from Sandrock, Alabama, and it's a really, really little town in northeast Alabama. We're close to Gadsden and Fort Payne. I have a brother, and he is 17. He just turned 17, and he's involved in sports too. So we've pretty much my entire childhood was just we were busy, we were playing on the road. Starting when I was 12, we were playing all over the country. I was playing in California, Colorado, and it just kind of never stopped from there.
So I have an older sister, so I know what it's like. So let's be real here. You were beating him up when he was a
I
kid, right?
don't, I'll beat him up now. We're pretty
Uh,
close. We don't really fight.
yeah. I mean, it's brotherly, sisterly love. It's what you would expect in a household with an athlete of your caliber, and I'm sure there were sports were the thing growing up. So I could imagine the competition and the the fuel that comes from that. But talk to me a little bit about growing up. Who were some of your influences, and was it just softball that you were an athlete of, or were there other sports?
So actually, when I had first started like participating in sports, I was probably 4 or 5, I started gymnastics. And so I was big into gymnastics and cheer for the longest. And then I went through a mental block with like tumbling and stuff, and I was struggling like throwing certain skills. I had my full when I was young, probably like 7. I think I threw it in a cheer competition. So I was a good cheerleader. And but I still cheered throughout high school. When I had a mental block, I kind of started playing different things. I always like played. I played baseball. I played basketball. Um, but then I like started focusing on different things when I kind of figured like, okay, well, I'm not doing the best in cheer right now. So I played baseball. I played with the boys until I was about 8 or 9. And then I switched over to softball. So I started in baseball because it was more competitive than our rec softball league. And at the time, I mean, when you're 8 or 9, you're not really thinking about like playing for real and like, where you're going to go to college. But then I switched over to softball and I was like, if I'm going to do this, like we're going to do it, like my parents were like, we're going to put her on the best like travel ball team. Like if she's going to play, she's going to play for real. And so, that's when I found the Birmingham Bolts and I played with them when I was 9 all the way until I was 18. And that's how I kind of got recruited and seen by Mississippi State. And yeah.
So let's backtrack. Let's unpack some of that a little bit. You a lot of people when they have a mental block, they take a break, and you felt like you needed to step away for a minute. Was there ever a time where you were like, all right, I'm ready to get back into cheering. I'm ready to get back into gymnastics, or was it you kind of just found something that you really liked better?
So I never really stopped cheer and gymnastics. I just kind of worked myself through the mental block. It was really frustrating. I mean, I was super young and it was like serious, like it was hardcore. I was on an older cheer team. I was with some older girls. And so being like the youngest, like one of the youngest kids on your all-star team, and then like obviously having those issues that's like keeping you from being your best. It was like really stressful. And I do remember that. I remember crying on the way home and on the way to cheer practice. But it's just something that I kind of worked through. I continued to cheer. I cheered until I was a senior in high school. And then like sometimes I was like, like I wish that, I would have stuck with cheer. Like if I was ever having a bad like just if I was in a slump or something, or then, sometimes I would be like, okay, well, like I want to quit cheer, like it was just always kind of back and forth. But I just stuck with it till I was a senior in high school and cheered throughout high school.
I can respect that. You honored the commitment. You persevered. You pressed through. It's hard for people to understand what it's like to have like a mental block, because you don't know what to do unless you're in it, and it's hard to like get on the level of somebody who's struggling with that when you've never had one yourself. So um it's commendable to be able to work yourself through that, but also to be able to balance other things, because you're also going to school on top of all the athletic stuff. So um with that, obviously you were able to figure it out. You were doing new things, but then you get to high school, and did you see yourself like when you started high school, did you see yourself going, you know what, I could pursue this, or this in college? Or did you know right away, like, I think softball, like I was able to compete with the boys. Now I'm competing all over the country. Did you know right away that softball was the avenue, or was that something throughout high school that you were like, man, I'm getting better? I think I might be able to do this. And before you know it, like you're there, you're at a spot where you can, take it to the next level.
Right. So I kind of knew pretty early on that softball was what I wanted to do. So maybe around the time that I was 12 or 13 is when I started taking it serious. Because when I switched over to softball, I was like behind everybody. Like my skill level, like I just wasn't as good as everybody. And so I knew that like if that's something that I wanted to do, then I would have to work really hard at it because I was coming off of rec league baseball. And so just being at the field, I think me and my dad would go to the field probably 2 or 3 hours a day, every day until I, was, equally as good as everybody else. And then, you just keep working. But I knew pretty early on that softball was the route that I wanted to take, probably around 13 or 14, because that was the time that, colleges started to look at you and you'd be going to camps and they'd take you on tours around their campus and stuff when you were at camps. And so it was a decision that I had to make pretty early.
Brylie, I tell you, I got an interesting story from you for you from this last year's baseball season. On my son's baseball team, they were 11U, and we actually had a 12-year-old girl on our team, and she's a softball star. She wanted to play rec baseball as well. And the 12 and 13-year-old league said that they were all full on their roster, which come to light, it was actually a lie. They didn't want a girl on their team, which was pretty insulting. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you right now, this girl was the best girl on our team. and she could catch anything. She was smoking the ball. And so we were gifted because these other coaches didn't want to take a girl. She came to our
Right.
team and dominated. So don't sleep on them ladies.
Right. That's kind of how I got into softball actually. So with rec league baseball, you know that there's like all-star teams. And so I didn't make all-stars. And it was it was obvious that I should have made all-stars and I didn't. And it really made my parents mad. And so they were like, we're done. Like we're getting her on a competitive travel softball team. Like we are done with this. So that's kind of similar to how I got into softball actually, was just because, you know, there was like doubt and me being a girl and in a guy's sport, and their parents probably didn't like that I was good. So
That you were better than their son. That's basically
right, probably.
So Brylie, it's interesting. We've never had the chance to talk to somebody who's gone that journey. So explain to us, like, was there a learning curve when you went from baseball to softball? Because like me personally, like I played baseball my entire life, but if you put me on a softball field and said, "Here's a softball, here's a bat, hit this type of pitching," like it's all different. That it would be a challenge for some of the best baseball players to transition. And obviously, you were one of the better players when you played in the baseball league. So, what was the transition like going to softball? Did it take a long time, or did it just automatically click?
Really, at the age that I kind of transferred over, it wasn't. I mean, I'm not gonna say it was easy, but it wasn't extremely hard to like get to where I needed to be able to be competitive and you know, be a hard player to play against. But I was lucky enough that I made that transition before, you know, they really got into the different pitches that softball players throw. You know, like the rise, and like baseball is more of like down angle pitches, and then softball you have to rise and then drop, and you know, like all the other stuff that you have to take like different angle swings too. So fortunately, I got to switch over before I was seeing a whole lot of that. So I feel like that would have been the biggest transition for me, was to kind of figure out how to hit pitches that were spinning up instead of just spinning down.
So, there's something you said that I gotta give you props on. Jim can tell you, I've coached baseball at high levels, and there's only a couple players in my entire life that have ever said anything to the what you just said was, I want to be the most difficult person that anybody has played against. Like most people are like, I want to have the best batting average. I want to hit gap to gap. I want to be able to drive the ball the other way. I'm a pitcher. I want to be able to, have X amount of strikeouts. I want my walk to strikeout ratio to be whatever. But it's very rare where people go, I want the other team to hate when I come to the plate or when I'm on the mound, or they just don't like playing me because I am that difficult of a person. So, and those guys are currently now playing in Major League Baseball. So that's the mindset. Like that's an unbelievable mindset to have. So I got to give you props on that. So you mentioned that it kind of clicked, and obviously once you started playing softball, it was like I gotta pump you up here. I mean, 2017 all county, all area tournament team, and first team all state honors. You led Sandrock to a 29-15 record, area 13 championship as a freshman, led the team at the plate in your debut season with a 616 batting average, brought home all area most valuable player honors, and first team all state selection. And that's not it. I just had to take a break. There's just so much, but I think it's important to note. As a junior, you led Sandrock with a 604 batting average. 604, like that's an unfathomable like number at the plate for your average. Like what, like is the ball like softballs are bigger? Was it just the fact that they look like a beach ball? Like how does that happen?
Um,
Even more importantly, how do other pitchers and other teams allow that to happen? Like, I'd just be putting you on base.
I mean, think about it, Daniel. 300 is what you aim for, right? And she's hitting 600, bro.
Getting on base
yeah,
six out of 10 times.
So I can do a lot of different things in the box. So that's the fun part about like slapping is that you can read the defense and basically just put it where they're not.
I mean, it's impressive to say the least, but you won 2018-16U Premier National Championship with the Thunderbolts. You then, obviously you're realizing the potential and where the softball could take you. At what point in this journey did college, like playing at the next level in a college, when did that start sinking in, and what colleges were on the radar?
Well, so I committed pretty early. I want to say it was a few days before my 15th birthday. Was when I committed to Mississippi State. So I knew that I wanted to kind of get out of Alabama. I didn't want to go too far. But I wanted to get out of Alabama. I wanted to leave my hometown and see different things. When I came to Mississippi State, it was just kind of like this undeniable like feeling, like I never forget it. When I was just walking around campus, like meeting everybody, and everybody was just so genuine, and like they really like looked out for me. I felt like they wanted me. And like this campus, it feels just like home. And I know like a lot of people say that, and it's so cliche to say that, but that really is the feeling that I had like when I got here. And I mean, 14-year-old Brylie walking around this campus, and I was like, dang, like this actually seems really fitting.
Is that normal for, in softball for people to commit that early?
Well, it was when we were getting recruited, but now there's the rule, the September 1st or something like that of your junior or senior year. So they kind of stopped the early commitment, early, stuff like that, recruiting process. But I think it was pretty normal. I feel like the majority of like our team committed when they were around that age too.
Danielle, I mean, she's the what, fifth softball player we have. She's easily the earliest.
Yeah. I mean, was there ever a time? I mean, obviously, like I just picture, the age and just the level of growing up that's happening, and what, just being in high school life, like, the one day, is drastically different than the next. And like, was there ever a time where you were like, maybe it's not Mississippi State? I committed there, but maybe it's not. Could it be somewhere else?
Not really, because I was always just really excited. Because nobody else, I want to say I'm the first person from Sand Rock to ever go to Division 1, to my knowledge, scholarship wise, for sport. But I was always just so excited, and it was really hard, like being in a small town, because like people talk, and so like they didn't always like have the best things to say. But I never doubted my decision. I remember coming on my official visit, and I was like on the way home, and I was like a little bit upset, and I was like tearing up, and I was like, this is real life. Like I'm gonna be here, and like this whole time that I've just been waiting and waiting and waiting and like dreaming of it since I was 14, and like now it's like actually here. And so I was scared, like after signing day, and I was like, wow, like I really did like just sign my life away to this school. But I've never regretted it. I've never had any second thoughts about it. I've always felt like I was meant to be here. And now I get to be here. So
Well, you may have escaped Alabama, but as somebody who likes to watch romantic comedies, I've seen Sweet Home Alabama, and you got that Reese Witherspoon accent down. So you may have left Alabama, but you brought that accent with you to Mississippi.
yep,
That's
I
for
don't know
sure.
how I'll ever get rid of it.
But you talked about 14-year-old Brylie being in Starkville. You talked about all these emotions leading up to it, but you finally get there. Are you at this point, are you nervous at all, or is it just straight excitement?
It was a little bit of both. I remember kind of getting here, and this was the first time that I'd ever been away from my family for a long period of time. My 18U travel ball, I would travel without my parents some, but I'd never been away. Like I'd never been away from home without my family. And I mean, my entire family is extremely close. And so I mean, I would walk to my mama's house and just go eat breakfast or go eat supper with them. And I mean, just I was always with my family, always. And so that was really the hard part for me, freshman year, was just trying to learn how to be without them, not really like being on my own, because I felt like I was pretty, they prepared me to be alone and to be independent and, to, handle things for myself. But it was really hard to not have them here like when I needed them.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely a transition. Before we get into all the softball talk, one of the things that I like that the athletes talk about when you go to a university, something like Mississippi State, is the other sports and the other events. Did you go check out football games and everything else before you got to softball season?
Yes, I did. We went to I'd been to a few football games before I got onto campus, and like I got to go on the field, like my family got to go on the field, and so that was really fun too, was to be able to witness different sporting events here before I actually got to come and enjoy them as a student.
Yeah, I feel like that's one of the cooler parts, is not just playing your own sport, but being a part of all the other sports and activities, because especially when you're at a university like Mississippi State, y'all got it going on in so many different areas. And to go enjoy those environments and support those other athletes, I feel like is a cool thing. But, getting into softball, your freshman season, you played in 22 games. You batted .417, made your first career start against Alcorn State, going 2 for 3 with 2 runs scored and 1 batted in. How did it feel, as the season started, trying to get yourself acclimated to the team?
Um, so I remember feeling like not necessarily out of place, but I was like, everyone here is good. And like, it's not just like there's these 3 or 4 players, like kind of like not my travel ball team, because my travel ball team, we were all very good. But getting here, it was like everybody, they've been here, they're bought into this program. Like they know the rules, they know everything about this program, and how to succeed in this conference. And so getting here and trying to just really find my role and find my place was probably the hardest thing for me, because you come here and you automatically you want to start, and you work so hard for that, and like when it doesn't happen, it sucks. But eventually I got to that point, and I got to that point freshman year, and then COVID happened, and so everything got shut down. I remember we were about to play Kentucky, and I just started the previous weekend before that against Southern Miss. And so, we were going into my first SEC weekend ever, and I was so excited to get to Kentucky, and like, fingers crossed that I would start. I'd been doing good. And, that's just something that you work for, and just kind of committing to your role. If you're on the bench, if you're on the field, like you're always going to get that opportunity, and just to be ready when that opportunity comes.
Well, before COVID happened, something amazing happened. Daniel, my favorite stat that I found in this whole research of Brylie, against MVSU, she got brought into pinch run, and she stole second and she stole third, and then she scored for what at the time was the go-ahead run. I mean, I love speed. Speed kills. I mean, let's talk about it. Like, is it one of those things that you are really fast, or are you good at reading the pitches? What's going on here? How are you able to steal bases like that?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm not going to tell you that I'm slow, because I'm not slow. But I think, like reading the pitches, being able to read like where the ball's going off the bat, that has a lot to do with it too. Like when you're trying to take extra bases. But yeah, I just know like if I'm going to get on first, then I'm going to steal second, and then I could probably steal third too if it's given to me.
So aside from the fact that COVID took it away from you, as far as what you did get to do, like I said, you only got to play in so many games, but .417, obviously great batting average. I just talked about the game in which you were able to accomplish stealing some bags. I mean, did you get a good feel? Did you feel like you had met expectations for at least what was allotted with a season cut short?
Yeah, I did. I thought like we ended on a really good note, like myself and as a team. And it was kind of heartbreaking, honestly, when everything, got shut down. We were on a roll. We were doing really well, and I was finally getting adjusted. I was finally feeling confident in myself again, because, like coming on to in an SEC program as a freshman is, it kind of humbles you a little bit. But I mean, I was finally feeling like myself again and feeling confident on the field and in my abilities. And then everything just kind of, got shut down within a few days.
Yeah, and that caught everyone off guard. But nonetheless, we all got through it. You got to the next year, sophomore year, played in 50 games, made 20 starts. The batting average dipped a little bit to 211, but I noted that you talked about SEC play and you hit 294 in SEC play, which is obviously a significant jump with a 353 slugging percentage. You started in center field against number 5 Florida at the time. You had singled in 2 at bats, went 2 for 2 with a double and a bunt single against number 15 Arkansas, and also reached on a hit by pitch and scored twice. You had some big time moments against some big time SEC programs. So obviously you didn't get to do that the year before, like you just talked about, but the next season you did, and it almost seemed like you thrived with the better competition. So talk to me about that.
Yeah, I've kind of always felt like that. I know a thing is like, you don't play down to your competition, but I just feel like when I do play better competition, it's more focused, it's more locked in, and I know that it should be like that all the time, but it's more significant when I'm against better teams. But really playing those bigger teams, going into it, because I'd never played in the SEC before against SEC teams. I mean, I grew up playing these girls, but now it's like all these ages together. And so I'm not just playing like, 18, 16, like I'm playing all these girls. And like you hear the hype of the players, and then you see them across the field from you. And obviously that can get to you a little bit. But once I just got in my head, like, these girls are just like me, like we've did the same thing to get here. We work just as hard as them. And like you play these girls your whole life. And I kind of, once you get past the thought of like, oh my gosh, this is the SEC, like we're playing the SEC softball right now, then it's just kind of like every other game, and you just have to take it pitch by pitch.
Yeah, and speaking of big games, you came in against another ranked team in Tennessee, and you came into pinch run, but you stayed on for defense, and you made a diving catch that ended up number 3 on SportsCenter's top 10. So I gotta know, like, we love when we have guests that make SportsCenter top 10, because that seems like, outside of winning like a national championship, that seems like the coolest thing that you can do is when you look and see yourself on a SportsCenter top 10. So what did that feel like? And like the emotions, talking to your friends, family, talk to me about it.
Well, I didn't know that I'd made SportsCenter. And I remember I was watching TV. I was watching SportsCenter, and I saw like the play before me was Bryce Harper, and my dog's named after Bryce Harper. So I was obviously humongous fan ever since he started. So I remember watching like Bryce Harper's play, and then I like saw the next clip, and I was like, wait, like this is my catch. And so I like had to pause everything, and I was like, everybody like shut up. Like I think that I'm on TV right now. And yeah, so it was my catch. And I don't know, it was just like kind of surreal. Like
I mean, you beat Bryce Harper out on the top 10. That's legit.
I know, and I'll never forget it. I mean, it was awesome. It's an awesome feeling, but yeah, it was crazy.
Daniel, what is it? It's funny. Brylie, we're pushing like having 130 guests. And when it comes to SportsCenter top 10 moments, the women are dominating. Like they got all the SportsCenter top 10 moments. Am I correct, Daniel?
Yeah, we need to pick better male guests. What it boils down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Luckily, there is a Cameron James has made it. Drew Gilbert. We got a few guys in there, but back on course with that season. Y'all made the NCAA tournament, which is the goal. Obviously, you come up short, but talk to me about what that experience is like, being able to play in the postseason, and talk about that team and everything.
Right. So playing in the postseason is really like a grind. I mean, school's out, so it's softball 24/7, and it's just like constant, like you're putting in work for really just a limited amount of games. You never know when your last game of the season is going to be. And so we went to Oklahoma State, and going there, their fans, they were, I mean, loud. There was a lot of them. Their stadium was slam packed. So going there, it was kind of eye opening. Like, I'd never been like yelled at really by fans before. And so like I guess like getting heckled by their fans was like
Really,
probably
playing center field in the SEC, that you hadn't really been heckled before that?
not really, not anything like personal. Like I mean, they would say stuff, but I don't really care.
Oh, they went
But
personal at you?
it was bad. It was bad. And so I think my biggest takeaway from that was like trying to control my emotions in the field. Like playing there was awesome. It was great. I mean, we came up short. I think we could have done better. Yes, I think we had a really good team that, could have pushed it a little bit harder than what we ended up, finishing as. But the the emotions in postseason were very high.
Yeah, no, and it seems like your team is making strides each season, and coming into this season, we'll talk about it, and for you personally, we've been talking about some games you started, some you haven't. Well, not this year. You've started all 33 games in center field. You're batting 279, fifth on the team in runs. Opening day, you went 3 for 3. What did you have for breakfast that morning, or what was going on? What did you wake up with that made you just decide, I'm gonna go out there and I'm not getting out?
I remember waking up, we were in California, and I was just so eager to play. And I mean, not that I've never been eager to play, but I was so like happy. I was in a good mood. I was ready to get there. And then when we got there and like, nerves are setting in, you're nervous. It's the first game of the season. But I remember telling myself I don't like, I was sitting in the dugout and I was just like, stay calm, stay cool, stay collected. Like, it don't matter, like the outcome of what you do, as long as you know that like you did everything you could do to succeed, then you'll be okay. And so I just like try not to get too big, just staying within myself and feeling the confidence in myself, staying relaxed. And it's really helped me a lot this year to have that mindset.
Yeah, and so since we recruited you to come on this show, I've been paying attention in those weeks since I've been paying attention. You've got Florida, Ole Miss, and Tennessee in there, and Florida and Tennessee both being highly ranked, both in the top 11, and then your Ole Miss is your rival. Let's talk about that first. How great for your team, not even just you individually, but for your team, was it to sweep out Ole Miss like that?
Oh, it was so much fun. Leading up to, that game, there's always a lot of talk, a lot of, back and forth. And I get bad about reading tweets and, like the threads under the tweets. And so I was sitting there and I was just reading all these tweets and knowing to come out and like, I mean, really, I feel like being at Mississippi State, I mean, it's really blue collar, like hard working, nothing's ever really given to us. And so kind of just proving points to people that don't believe in you.
It's interesting you said that. Daniel, did that not sound almost exactly like Will Rogers' line? Will said he feels like when you play for Mississippi State, you're almost treated like you're the last dog to the bowl and you have to grind harder than everyone else. And so to hear you say that, it speaks volumes to, the way Mississippi State's built. Y'all are literal dogs. Y'all fight for everything, and I love it. And so, with that, you had to play against Florida, you had to play against Tennessee. Like I said, two outstanding programs. You took one of three from each of them. Just, how competitive and hard were those series? And you talked about it earlier. You don't get nervous about those, right? You get fired up for games like that.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, nerves, you always have nerves, but you kind of just overcome your nerves when you get in the field, like when you're on the field and you're like, okay, like this is happening, like your confidence sets in, like it's game time. Those teams, they're really good teams. And I mean, for a while in those games, I mean, there was battles. Florida, it was back and forth, back and forth. I do feel like the outcomes of those games could have went differently, the games that we didn't win against them. But to know that those are top ranked teams and the competition and like the grit that we showed in that game or those games, I think the outcomes could have been different too.
It's kind of wild. And our audience that's going to listen from Mississippi State's going to know exactly what I'm talking about. At least y'all timed your wins against each of those teams and the sweep of Ole Miss. It almost seems like y'all in baseball need to get coordinated, because right now you're their saving grace. When they have bad days and losses, softball wins. And so like I see in the threads, people say, well, at least we got it done in softball. Like y'all got to get on the same page and win on the same day. But at least y'all are winning when they're losing. So the Mississippi State fan base has something to hold on to.
Yeah.
If y'all both
Right.
lose, it's just tough. So, but what would I'm put you on the spot here. What would you grade your team right now on how y'all have performed so far? And then the question I always like to ask every athlete is, what is the one thing you needed to do to get better this season?
So our team right now, I think our only issue is just like, you never know what you're gonna get. I mean, we're not really early on into season anymore, and so what really is going to determine our team and the grit and the desire, the want to of our team is showing up every day. I feel like right now it's kind of complacent and like like one day we might not be on in this, but something else is going good, but it's not enough. Yeah, we have to be 100% like locked in and focused throughout every game. So right now I just think that once we figure out like we got to show up like every game, I think we'll be okay because we have a really good team this year.
Absolutely. So postseason is in the expectations, obviously.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, one more thing before I let Daniel get to the game with you. I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about you earning a spot on both the 2021 and 2020 SEC honor roll, first team honor roll. You were involved in community service, volunteering time, and multiple projects, including camp supervisor, KTH color run, and Earth Day cleanup. So shout out to you for the academics. Shout out to you for being a part of doing outreach projects and volunteering your time. And so, we love athletes that have character, not only on the field, but off the field.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So speaking of character, we're going to find out a little bit about your character. You ready to play a quick game?
Yes.
All right. So the game is called This or That. It's how we end every episode with our guest. It's pretty simple. I'll give you two options. All you got to do is pick one option or the other. And, just don't say both and don't say neither, and you're in good shape.
All righty.
All right. So here we go. All right. This is a layup question. Would you rather hit a home run or steal home?
I think I'd rather hit a home run.
Has anybody stolen home in softball? I feel like it would be extremely difficult.
Yeah, on like pass balls and stuff.
But who would you root for if Mississippi State was playing South Alabama? Who are you rooting for?
Yes, sir.
I'm rooting for Mississippi State, obviously, but I would want Landon to do good.
You want Landon to have a career day but lose, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Daniel, it's possible because in that Mississippi State Arkansas series, my biggest fear was Brady Tigert going against Mississippi State, and he managed to go 3 innings, including the 9th, 10th, and 11th, and go unscathed. But yet Mississippi State won, so it can happen.
Yeah, I mean, it happens a lot. I mean, you got pitchers out there that'll give up 2 hits, 1 walk, and lose the game, and have 10 strikeouts on top of it, and it happens sometimes. We this next question has really developed like a mind of its own. I asked this question weeks back, and then we put a survey up on social media, and like it's become popular. So everybody wants us to ask this question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? Yes or no?
I don't think so. No.
No, is a hamburger a sandwich?
No.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like a hot dog and a hamburger, they're their own category.
Right. I feel like it has to be like deli, like ham.
Yeah. Yep. I'm right there with you. Jim claims that he went to Texas, and I mean it's Texas, so we don't know whether to believe this or not. And in the Astros ballpark, they have a hot dog sandwich, but I don't know.
I can't get behind that one.
Nope, me neither. Me neither. Would you rather go fishing or go hunting?
Oh, that's hard. It depends. It depends on what kind of.
Oh no, that's not the way this game works. It's one or the other.
Think about all the things you could fish for and all the things you can hunt for.
Mm,
Which one are you choosing?
probably deep sea fishing.
You fish. All right, all right. Would you
That-
rather have would you rather have better hair or better teeth?
Better teeth.
Yeah, you throw your hair up, whatever, but the
Right.
teeth, they gotta stay
You
white.
can
Right?
always fix your hair.
Oh yeah. Would you rather be the smartest person in the room or the funniest person in the room?
Funniest.
It's been a while since we had a funniest, Daniel. I've
Yeah.
always thought funniest, but a lot of people have been saying they want to be smart lately.
I don't know. It's an intriguing question. It might depend on the day and depend on who's in the room.
Yeah.
True, true.
Um, would you rather spend 5 years in jail or 10 years in a coma?
Oh my gosh. I don't know. 5 years in jail. A coma sounds scarier than jail.
Lord, that's so we get a bunch of the dudes you could only imagine. They get on here and they start thinking they're badder than they really are, and they're like, "Yeah, I'll take jail," and I'm like, "No, you wouldn't." These dudes come on here and lie right to our face. Yeah,
Well,
I
I'm
don't think
not
she even believed jail when she said it. I think she just answered the answer. She didn't want either
Yeah.
of them.
I don't want to do either, but that's the one that I would do if I had to.
Well, I'll tell you like I tell all the guests. At this point in my life, I am 37 and I'm old enough to know what I'm good at and what I'm not good at. And I've never been to jail, but I can tell you I'm not good at it. Nor do I want to try to be good at it. So what I do know is I'm good at sleeping and napping. So I will take the coma gladly. Give me my 10 years of sleep, and I'll wake up and I'll try to figure things out. But
That's fair.
I ain't going to jail. All right. Last question. If somebody said, Brylie, here is a sack full of cash, and in the sack contains $10 million. You can have this cash. The only caveat is all of your friends now can no longer be your friends. Do you take the money or do you leave the money and keep your friends?
Oh my gosh. I mean, that's a lot of money.
I'll tell you before you answer this question, it goes half and half. People don't always just say friends and like go with the right answer. Some people say, give me the bag. So if you say that, you won't be offensive, I promise. Daniel and me will tell you right here to your face, we will both bail on each other right now for $10 million.
For five.
Please.
For five, I'm dipping.
10 mil. I don't. Friends.
No. She lied to us.
Oh man. Man, if I had the money, I would test this out.
But Brylie, you said the right answer because your friends are gonna listen and they're gonna know that you picked them.
Right.
So
I'm not gonna have $10 million right now. So
there you go.
I respect it. I don't agree with it, but I respect it. All right, Brylie, before you leave, anything you want to plug or promote?
no, that's it. Hell State.
Hale State. Well, guess what? I had a feeling you were going to say no. I don't want to plug or promote anything, so I'm going to do it for you.
All
If
right.
you want to learn what Brylie's got going on, you can follow her on Instagram at Brylie St Clair. And this Wednesday, they're traveling to Southern Miss on CUSA TV. You can check them out against Southern Miss at 6 p.m. And then this weekend, you guys got Missouri coming to town. SEC Plus Network, Friday night, 6 p.m., Saturday at 2 p.m., and Sunday at 12. Brylie, good luck this weekend. Good luck the rest of the season. If there's anything that we can do for you, please reach out and let us know.
All righty. Thank y'all for having me.
Thank you. And we are going to take a break. We got some sponsors to plug, but Jim, man, we got some new sponsorship. We got some new things that the listeners need to know. What's up?
Man, I just want to continue to plug the Bellsmith since we got a Mississippi State athlete on. You can go to social media, you can go to the Maroon and Company, you can go to multiple different places in Starkville. These player jersey bells that he's cranking out, Daniel, are amazing. But it's not even just those, man. You can get them in any color, you can get them any shape or form. They got swashbuckler. You're familiar with that. You're from Tampa Bay. They got the pirate ship stuff. They got it all. And so check out the Bellsmith, get your bell, go down to the Mississippi State softball game and ring that thing.
Yeah, man. Go check it out. Go get you one. Customize it however you like. The guy's legit. For you Mississippi State fans, I know you're listening. The cowbell is essential. Go to the Bellsmith, get your bell, and get your ring on. Jim, when we come back, man, we got to unpack a lot of college baseball, man. So let's hit these sponsors, and then we'll be right back.